Welcome to the Big Life Podcast, where dreams aren't just imagined, they're built brick by brick, belief by belief. Hosted by Neal Oates Jr. and Robin Lewis, this show is your invitation to discover your amazing capabilities, invest in your growth, and unleash your potential in ways you've only dreamed of. Join Neal and Robin as they dive deep into stories, insights, and tools designed to inspire you to show up big, live intentionally, and give yourself away for the betterment of those around you. Get ready to rise to what you're truly worthy of. The Big Life starts now.
Welcome to the Big Life Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Neal Oates Jr. and Robin Lewis. Sir, are you ready for another fun one today?
Hey, Neal. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing better than I probably deserve, but I'm going to say fantastic.
You're looking good, man. You're looking
Come
good.
on, sir. Watch it. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. And I must say, you don't look too shabby yourself, brother.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I feel good.
Right.
I feel good. And I'm grateful to get together with you and our listeners today. And I think we have a really good show. The topic I know is really good, right? We haven't rehearsed how we're going to cover it all, but the topic I believe is something that our listeners are going to want to lean in on today.
Absolutely. And not only is it good, and Robin, I'm going to speak on your behalf. You're not saying it's good because it's something that we necessarily want to talk about, but it's good because it's relevant and it's something that we need to discuss, especially on this journey to living the big life. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's probably, we're going to be a little bit transparent and a little bit vulnerable today. And that's not always, easy and fun thing to do. But yeah, we want to be real. And I think as we do so, we're going to find you, our listeners, that some of you might relate, some of you might not. You might feel sorry for these two and say, oh my goodness, wow, I can't believe that.
Be like, boy, they have it bad. I don't know why they wake up in the morning and say that they're living a fantastic life and are God's favorite and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so Robin, why don't I just go ahead and let the people know and go ahead and reduce the intrigue?
You think you should? You think you should, sir?
Man,
we have a good thing going here.
If they are still with us, if they are still with us at this point, we're going to go ahead and reward our audience. So Robin and I, we're going to talk about self-doubt, and not just self-doubt, but how we can answer some questions. So we're going to really look at 7 questions surrounding self-doubt. And we don't know where you are with this, but we know each other. We know ourselves, and we know that self-doubt is prominent. It's something that we have to combat daily. And typically you might hear on the Big Life Podcast some conversations or topics where Robin and I might be challenging you, right? We might come and have some questions and pose those to you while not really answering the questions ourselves. Well, today, Mr. Robin Lewis, Neal Oates Jr., we are going to lead by examples, and we're going to really answer some tough questions that we have experienced throughout this thing called life around self-doubt. So Robin, are you ready, brother?
I'm ready, man. Let's take it on.
Okay, so before we answer questions, first, I want to just ask you, Robin, to give your ideas, your thoughts around self-doubt and what it is and why it's so relevant today.
Yeah, it's relevant to me because I have struggled with it, first of all. And I think it's very relevant today because we're finding out that a lot of people in our society struggle with it. And so self-doubt, when we talk about self-doubt, it's maybe thinking sometimes I'm not good enough or I'm not smart enough. Or self-doubt could be about fear. Maybe we have fear about doing something. Maybe it's fear about failing or fearing about stepping out into something new. If sometimes those types of thoughts can actually lead to insecurities, and feeling insecure about ourselves. And it could lead, if somebody struggles enough with self-doubt and fear and that type of thing, it can lead to a low self-worth.
Absolutely.
And so The reason why I think it's a good subject to discuss, number one, because I've struggled with it, and Neal has shared that he struggled with it a little bit himself. But the research has shown that 85% of our society actually struggle with that. And so
And
it's a
so,
very
Robin,
relevant subject.
even as you mentioned 85%, so we might think, well, hearing those numbers, why am I going to try to do anything about this? Or what can I do? Or I need to wait until the government or society do something to make it easier or less prone for individuals to experience self-doubt. But what we're also going to talk about as we answer these questions is that overcoming self-doubt is going to require a lot of inner work. There are going to be things that only Neal can do for Neal, or decisions that Robin must make for himself in order to begin the process and then seek out assistance, seek out resources to get better, to do better, to think better, and then ultimately view ourselves in a different light. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's the point, is that we struggle with it, but we also understand that we can, it's a part of life. It's natural. It happens. And if we can learn how to deal with it and how to use it for our favor, then that's where we're thinking we can help our listeners. Yeah.
All right, so you came on to this episode saying you look good, you feel good, you play good, they pay good, all of the above. So I'm going to throw this first softball question out there to you, and
Yeah.
your answer, as Robin mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, we have not rehearsed these questions. We know the answers, or we know the questions, but we don't know what each other is going to say. So I want to ask, what is the biggest doubt you currently have about yourself, Mr. Robin Lewis?
So, sir, I think, for me, one of the main things that I struggle with, I like, even here on this podcast, I'm trying to add value to people in this way, right? Coaching, training, mentoring. I owned a business for 30 years. I feel like I can help business owners. And sometimes I'm not so sure about that. Sometimes I wonder if what I'm saying is really making an impact. Sometimes I wonder if I am that guy that can really carry that off. I'm being honest. I'm being transparent with you when I tell you that, because I've always sort of had that desire. But now that I'm in this position that I am, where I want to do that more now, I sometimes doubt myself, whether or not I have it, I have the ability to really be all that and do all that.
So I'm going to jump in here. The same question. What is the biggest doubt I'm currently having about myself? It is if I really am that guy, right? If I'm really the person that I say I am, if I really am an affluent Negro, if I really am a good husband, a good father, if I'm really the friend that I would want to be friends with. And the reason being is because as much as I know the good stuff about me, right? As much as I know about what I'm doing and have accomplished, I also know where my failures were. And unfortunately, I always say that my accolades and that my successes, they whisper. But my failures and my skeletons, they have a megaphone and they're always screaming at me, right? And so I can look at myself and say, hey, he's doing okay. But you know what you did last week, what, right? And so for me, when right now it's the doubt is, am I being authentic, genuine? Is it going to come out that I'm a fraud or a fake? And Robin, this is where, as I was writing my book, I said, am I the person that can really walk by and live by these 7 principles of wealth creation? Do I really believe and live like I believe what the word says? And so that's the big one for me. And it is a daily challenge, not a struggle, but a daily challenge to make sure that I don't allow that self-doubt to impact, as you mentioned, my self-worth.
Yeah. Well, so there you have it. I'm sure that people would look at Neal Oates. You might have some people that look at Robin and say, wow, I can't believe that, man. Oh my goodness. And so, yeah, that's, it's, I hope that is encouraging to our listeners. So thank you for sharing.
So I'm going to take the lead on this one, on question number 2, and it is, how has doubt held you back in life? And for me, I'll just say that sometimes my doubt, one time in particular, it just made me scared. I was fearful to act. And, as Jim Rohn said, I rehearsed or recited the language of the poor in my head so much. It was, what if, what if, what if? And it was not the what if this goes right? What if everything goes according to plan? What if you're better than they think? For me, the what if was, what if you look silly? What if it doesn't work? What if the finances don't come through? And so for me, one time in particular, I had a very good opportunity to be in front of a massive audience, Robin, that had the potential to change my life in the matter of 30 minutes, right? We're talking about being in front of about 1,000 powerful, influential people. And I did not take advantage of that opportunity because the voice in my head, you're not good enough, wrong upbringing, wrong color, don't have enough experience. Why would they listen to you? How are you going to tell them something that you've only done a handful of times? All of that. And so I missed that opportunity. And as a result, fortunately, I had someone in my life that saw more in me than I saw in myself at the time. And she came to me and she says, we're not missing those opportunities again. And all I could say was, yes, ma'am. Right. And from then, I've had opportunities to be on bigger stages, bigger platforms, in front of audiences that, even though, so the question was, how has doubt held me back in life? That setback, made me realize, hold on, I did miss an opportunity. And because of that, there's a saying that says that one day of delay could result in, or one day of procrastination could result in 6 months of delay. I don't know how far or how much I got held back because I didn't commit, didn't step up and believe I was capable of one day. And so now I always act, and I act fast. So Robin, for you, how has doubt
Yes.
held you back in life?
Similarly, I have allowed opportunities to pass me by. Maybe I think I'm not ready, or maybe I think that I'm not enough for it. I can talk specifics, but I think generally speaking, like what you just said, when I look back, I realize that there are opportunities that I did not step into. And, looking back now, I understand that opportunities come with discomfort oftentimes. And so if I'm not feeling 100% confident, or I'm not sure, that's still not a good reason to step into it anyway, because if you're stepping into something new, that's what you're going to experience. And so I know a little better now. But when I look back, there are definitely opportunities. I can think of even an investment opportunity that I had once with a real estate, a commercial piece of property, that I hesitated. I was a little bit unsure. This was twofold. I was a little bit unsure about, the deal itself. And, I was a little bit, it was kind of new to me jumping into this thing, and I hesitated. And the people that I was going to be doing it with moved forward, and it turned out to be a significant gain that they experienced that I missed out on. And so, yes, similar to you, it's definitely, so the question is, how has it held you back in life? It's caused me to hesitate. It's caused me to not step up into opportunities that I could have.
Awesome. So we're hoping that as Robin and I share our experiences, that you are reflecting just a bit and you're being honest with yourself. Now, you don't have to be honest with everyone else until you're honest with yourself first. But then we do encourage you to have those conversations with someone. Make sure you chime in with us in the comment section and let us know what your experience with self-doubt has been. So we're going to go to number 3, Robin, and we're just going to pivot just a little bit. Where do you think your self-doubt originates from? Do you have an idea? Do you have something that you could pinpoint? Was it an experience, environment? What are your thoughts? Where do you think your self-doubt comes from?
It's funny. I've looked back at that because I really have struggled with this for a lot of my life, actually. And I would say to you, it started from I was young. And so, as as far back as I can remember, I'm talking about in, like I was probably 8, 7, 8, 9 years old, somewhere in that region there. And a couple of things that happened. One was I was going to be playing a role in soccer, and I doubted myself, and I just didn't give what I thought I could have given. And I don't know, somebody that was there was kind of putting some ideas in my mind, so they added to it. Who are you? Who do you think you are? That kind of a thing. But the point is that it's from way back young. So I don't it's almost as if, I was just kind of came into life this way, Neal. So there are things that happened to me as a teenager as well, which I believe I've shared on this podcast already. But as a teenager, when I was interested in girls, the girls weren't interested in me. And that affected how I viewed myself also, right? I viewed myself in a negative way, where it affected my self-image. So that's something as a teenager. But me doubting myself and questioning, that started from way back when I was young, man. I remember specifically that soccer game and then doing an audition for a play. And I was worried about what others thought. And I didn't think that I didn't have the confidence to kind of step up. I was doubting myself. How about you?
Right. So for me, it is different because I grew up in an environment where, when I say my mom and dad, they were the ultimate cheerleaders. They were just encouragers. And then really everyone that was around me through my youth. So it was, Neal, you can do it. And I do believe, so Robin, I'm quick to say that I'm God's favorite, right? And so I know there was favor on me in a lot of what I did from an early age on, but then also I received a lot of mentoring and coaching and just advice from more senior people, more experienced people in life. I believe my self-doubt really started to originate once I got into college, because up till college, I was the man. Everything was awesome, right? It was like the Lego movie. Everything is awesome, and we were just going through. But for me, it really started in college around that age. We're at 17, 18, when you start experiencing some challenges. And then I looked to my left and my right, and the environment for me had changed. Right. So from having a strong, supportive, encouraging environment to now having a competitive environment. So that was big for me. My freshman and sophomore years, I believe that's where the self-doubt started to really creep in. And a lot of it was around athletics, the education part we were good in, but then not really being able to do and be who I was, who I thought I was, what I thought made me in high school, right? From a young age. Things that came naturally, they didn't translate at the college level. And so that's where it started. And then because of that, then I allowed negative, I'm going to say, inputs, whether it was from media, social media, voices, and the environment. And so there was a couple of years where I was like, man, am I doing everything right, anything right? But then still having people come up on the weekends from my hometown or people from my previous environment and them cheering me on. Right. So it was this tug and pull where I'm like, okay, for 5 days, I'm like, man, I can't do anything right. For about 3 hours, you're the man, you can do it. Right. And so for me, it was really in that formative time of freshman, sophomore, college. So that was a tough part, a tough stretch of life for me when it comes to the self-doubt.
Very interesting. I'm sure a lot of people relate to that too. Yeah. Step out there.
And so Robin, but here's what I want people to understand. I want our audience and our listeners to get that whether it sets in at an early age or if it's a little later or much later in life, we're still experiencing them. Now, you have held on to yours, or you've had to figure out yours a little bit longer than I have. But for me, when I say that going from being in an environment where it's yay, you go, you do, you're awesome, like it hit me hard. So it wasn't like I knew or was able to figure this thing out and work with it. And, because once we're young, when we're young, it's the size of the problem can only, it's not going to be huge, right? But then when I got into college, I felt like there were these massive things, and it really shook me. And so then I had not had the experience to deal with these smaller issues of doubt, as to now I'm like, man, my life is over, right? And so instead of she doesn't think I'm cute, now it's, man, I'm going to fail. I'm out of school. I'm not good enough, going to lose my scholarship. I'm going to be a bum. No one's going to marry me, never have kids, can't find a job, right? And so that's what was going through my head.
Yes. It's very, very interesting. Very interesting, sir. Thank you for sharing.
So Robin, so we know that we have had challenges and that we still have challenges, and they require us to be better, to overcome self-doubt. So I don't want to ask, have you ever overcome self-doubt? What I do want to know is, how do you, and so this is going to be our question number 4, how do you manage or combat the self-doubt on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, sir?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And I do think that it's a daily thing, So one of for me, a big part of it, and I'm just sharing from my personal vantage point. A big part for me.
I know where you're going, sir. You can speak for me on this behalf too. Come on.
Yeah, so I believe, I understand now that I am made very special, right? And I believe that God made me, and He made me very intentionally and with purpose, and specific purpose. And He's created me with a unique mix of experience, talents, giftedness, passion that I get to bring to this world. But then underneath all of that is that He loves me. So that's my faith. And I share that because I know we have many different faiths that are listening to us today. And that's where I come from. But so a part of what that means then is I am reading what He has to say about me. So I'm reading the Bible on a regular basis. And a lot of what that is describing in the Bible who I am and whose I am. And I'm being reminded of the purpose that I have and the person that I have that's behind me, that's made a way for that purpose to come to fruition. And so what that looks like is I am sort of programming my mind with faith, and programming my mind with a positive outlook, and programming my mind with a reminder of who and whose I am. And so that might also take, this yesterday, I read a scripture, and I'm just going to find that scripture real quick, if you would bear with me.
Yes, sir.
It won't take me long here. It's Psalms 54, verse 4. And it's a very short verse. It says, "Surely God is my help. The Lord is the one who sustains me." And so what I remind myself with things like that, when I get doubt, when I might think like I'm not enough, maybe I'm not smart enough or don't have all that it takes, I remind myself that surely God is my help. The Lord is the one who sustains me. And so that's a verse, for example, that I want to commit to memory now. And I want to remind myself of things like that. So that's one of the things I do, is I remind myself with scripture, or maybe it might be quotes and so on. That, also, I think one of the things that I do in addition to that is to celebrate wins. I'm a little bit more intentional about that now, celebrating wins. And so through reflection, I try to reflect on a daily basis on my day. And there's 2 things that I would say that go towards to help me answer your question. Is I reflect on what I've done well, and I, acknowledge it and celebrate it. And then I try to think about what are the things that I'm grateful for. And I think those three things is what I do.
Good stuff. I know that attitude of gratitude and being intentionally grateful, that makes a big impact in how we talk about ourselves, think about ourselves, and how we combat that self-doubt. So for question number 4, how do I overcome the daily, weekly, monthly struggle challenge of self-doubt? The first one is going to be, of course, the faith piece, right? I think that goes unsaid for both of us. But then I have really embodied the idea of not taking myself too seriously. Right. And so that's why even when Robin and I were laughing and saying, after you all hear about our struggles and challenges with self-doubt, you're going to be like, man, but they said today was a great day and they're excited to do this episode. I just realized that because we are in the Lord's hands, and like, how bad can it be, even at our worst? I know I haven't had it as bad as some of the heroes in the Bible, and they were still just men and women. Right. And so if he is going to truly sustain us, then I have just not taken myself that seriously. Now, I do take life serious because life is a serious matter. This experience that we're having is a serious matter. But for me, hey, okay, what's next? All right. And so in that, with my faith, me not taking life so seriously, the third thing that I'm doing to really beat self-doubt back into the corner is, thanks to my mentor with that missed opportunity, I am really just acting fast, right? So I am turning my fears into anxiety into excitement, and I'm doing a lot of things scared, right? So I'm scared when I'm doing it. I'm unsure when I do it. I might be ignorant when I do it, but I'm doing that thing. And so whether it's on stage or face to face or doing pitches with big time clients or even writing a book, I'm doing it scared and then just trusting that everything is going to work out. And Myron Golden, I was listening to one of his teachings and he made this statement. He says, you and I, we both have what ifs in our lives. The difference is you allow your what ifs to talk you out of the very things that I allow my what ifs to talk me into. Right. Yeah. And so I have had to have that shift in perspective, Robin, where I still have the what if, but it is no longer the language of the poor. It is the language of the elite. What if this works out? What if it is successful? And now I am a conspiracy theorist. And here's what I mean. I used to believe that everything was set up against me, for me to confuse me, to cause me to lose and fail and just not make it. But now I believe that the world is conspiring to help me win. And the reason I believe that is because we believe, because of our faith and God being a good father, that he wants to see us thrive and win and to have life and have it more abundantly. So now what I look for changes because the way I look at things have changed. So that's going to be how I overcome it, with faith, with the whole idea of not taking life too seriously, and then making sure that whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm going to do it scared. And so far, I am happy to report, ladies and gentlemen, we're doing pretty good. And not every day is a win. Not every day is all rainbows and sunshine. But in order for us to have the rainbow, we must have some rain. Robin, anything else on that before we jump to question number 5? Question number 5, sir.
Yes, sir. One thing, and by the way, come on now. It's working out pretty well. I like that.
It's working pretty good.
So the thing that I would add, as I thought about it as you were talking as well, is I'm around. I put myself around people like Neal. I put myself around people that believe in me and that encourage me, and so I think that's a big part of that. Now, whether that's faith based, so at church, I'm around people that are encouraging me and believing in me as well as in the business world. And I have people in my life that believe in me and are mentoring me or coaching me and helping me to move forward as well. So just the community that I'm a part of, the people, the friends, the associates, I'm very intentional about trying to be around people like that. And I think that has helped me in a lot of ways. Like there are times where, I might be on a call with you and you encourage me, you inspire me, you challenge me. That's a part of it too, but you're believing in me. And that's been very helpful to have that in my life.
I tell you, one of my mentors, and I know you and I, we both understand and we value mentors beyond, right, we could ever repay. But one of my mentors said that all of us have received enough criticism, but we've never received enough encouragement.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where I'm coming from, the position of, if I can encourage, and here's what we know. We talked about feedback in a previous episode. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have not listened to or tuned into that episode on feedback, you're going to want to make sure that you are providing feedback in a constructive way, because we don't need more criticism. We need encouragement, even in the form of feedback. So thank you for that, Robin. So I'm going to go question number 5. I want to get out of order, because here's what I want to ask with question number 5. How can you remind yourself daily that you are capable and worthy? So how can you, or how do you remind yourself daily? I know, for instance, you said Psalm 54:4, right? That's going to be something that we commit to memory. What else are you doing, Robin Lewis, to remind yourself daily that you are capable and worthy of this grand thing called life, these big responsibilities and opportunities that you have in front of you?
Yeah, I take it slow. First of all, I'm very thoughtful. I'm very mindful. So I think about things, and so reflection is a very big part of that. I mentioned that a little bit earlier on, but that is a way that I do that on a daily basis. I really do take the time to stop and think about yesterday and what happened, and recognize that, like you said, you step out anyway. I think it's understanding that how if you messed up yesterday, if you did really well yesterday, that's just a small part of it. Yesterday is gone now. That doesn't determine your worth, right? That's just a part of it. And the reality is that I'm going to do both every day. If I'm doing well, I'm going to mess up and I'm going to have some wins every day. And so I think so being mindful of that and not thinking that I have to conquer it all. And if I mess up, it's not that big of a deal. And so those are the first thoughts that come to my mind. In addition, we kind of covered some of what I do before that helps me to answer this question. But I want to pause and hear you tag at it, and maybe some other thoughts might come at me. But
So
please.
even before I go, you just mentioned something, and I want you to just dive a little bit deeper into it. You said you slow down, right? So one, you slow down and reflect. So in this time today, with the pace of life and how quickly everything is moving, would you please explain to us why? Because I know you're talking about the reflection part, but why is it necessary to slow down to do these things?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I think what happens is that if we're not careful, we can just kind of go from one thing to the other. And so in terms of when we think about doubt, if I don't slow down, then what can happen is when I mess up or I'm not getting the results that I think I should have or would like to have, if I don't process that in a meaningful way, that can actually add to the doubt. So there might be times where if I don't actually stop and really give thought. And so I think it's just being mindful, Neal. There's a saying, experience is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is. And so I think that's applicable when it comes to me and have a proper me having a myself. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I know that as a human being, as an achiever, and here's what Robin and I are going to assume. We assume that if you're here with us on the Big Life podcast, that you are not looking for the easy way through life. You are not looking for someone to just come and lay everything at your feet. So therefore, you probably are a high achiever, someone who has big goals, who's willing to work and work and work. But if we don't do as Robin just suggested and slow down, we'll find ourselves never evaluating the experience that we just had. And I did not want our ladies and gentlemen, Robin, to miss that, because the reflection is good. However, slowing down to reflect, because we could do this number right here. We're driving and say, nope, we're good. Okay, got it. When what you're saying is, hey, pull off on the side, at the rest area. Let's take a look at where we've gone, how far we've come, and then we'll be better prepared. Maybe we do need to get a shot of espresso or something and then keep going on this journey. So thank you for sharing that, Robin. And for me, how can I remind myself daily that I'm capable and worthy? Is something, and ladies and gentlemen, I know it's corny. I know it's what people tell us to do all day. And we tell our kids and we see the memes and the videos and we make fun of the affirmations. But when I tell you that they work, right? Because remember, the word says that we have to speak to ourselves in a way that is uplifting. And so as Robin does, I make sure that I remember the word, but I have 26 things right here on this piece of paper that has been with me for a decade plus. And I start with, and so I have committed them to memory, but every morning, every night, I'm reminding myself of the 26 things that are here on the paper. And some of them have not come true yet. But this is how I'm reminded of my capability and my worthiness. I am the child of Almighty God. I am more than a conqueror. Heaven and earth align for opportunities to find me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So you all see that right off top, I'm being reminded of who I am and my worth, not based on what anyone else, anything else is telling me, but who our father or what our Father is telling me. And then, of course, we get down to a little later. I love selling real estate. I only work with the world's most affluent clients. I'm a great dad and God-filled leader. I'm a loving and committed husband, right? And so if you have questions, I would encourage you to check out a book by Joel Osteen, The Power of I Am, right? Making sure that we're speaking, that we're getting this right stuff into us. Listen to uplifting podcasts and maybe playlists that are on YouTube. Let's get those right messaging, that positive, encouraging messaging into our heads, into our minds. I believe that's going to be a fantastic way. That's what I'm doing personally to win and to remind myself on a daily basis. Anything else there, Robin, before we go to question number 6?
It's needed, and I love to hear people say that you talk to yourself. I don't think it's said enough out there. Sometimes when you say that, people think like you're crazy. But the reality is we talk to ourselves anyway. We just don't realize, or we're not being as intentional. We might not be as intentional about what we're saying to ourselves. And so the point there is with doubt is that we have to change the mindset, change the framework of how we see ourselves. And that happens like what you just talked about. And so, yeah, right on, man. I think that's what it's all about.
Good stuff. All right, we're going to put a bow on this with question number 7, but question number 6 is one that I want to throw out, and it's going to be for you and I, Robin, just a little spin on question number 2. So question number 2, we ask, how has doubt held us back in life? But for question number 6, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to throw Robin a fastball here and say, what have you learned from your self-doubt? What have you learned about Robin Lewis from your experience with self-doubt?
I've learned that I can overcome it. I've learned that it's something that even still today comes, right? There are times, different things that I might be doing that it comes there. It shows up, I should say. And so I've also learned that that's something that I have to remind myself of. I think the question is, what have I... Say the question again, Neal. I want to make sure I'm answering it.
What have you learned from dealing with your self-doubt, or what is the benefit of, because before we ask how has it held us back, so now I want to help the audience or share with the audience that we believe that with every challenge there is an opportunity in there. So what opportunity, what win, what victory has self-doubt brought into your life?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's helped me to step into opportunities, even although I might be uncomfortable. It's helped me to move forward without having to have all the answers. It's helped me to understand that I'm not going to have all the answers until I actually step. It's helped me to understand that a lot of what I'm going to doubt is normal. It's healthy. Maybe it's something new that I'm stepping into. But the point that I've learned and where it's benefited me is that it's helped me to understand that it's a part of life, and how I respond to it is really what makes all the difference. And so it's helped me to be more courageous. It's helped me to be more bold. It's helped me to step out more, step into something, understanding that, hey, it might not work out. And hey, I might not, have it all together for that. But it's okay. I'm going to step anyway, because that's the only way I'm going to find out. And a lot of times when I step, I think there's so much out there that we can conquer. There's so much out there that we can learn. We can get better. And, it might be something new to us, or something that we're scared about, or something we don't have a skill set to do right now. Mm-hmm. But it's helped me to understand that I can develop that.
So for me, it has helped me in two major areas. Number one, you mentioned that everyone deals with, we know 80+% of the population deals with self-doubt. So for me, it's made me more relatable, right? It's made me be able to look at a person and know that the chances are very high that they've dealt with this thing that I'm dealing with.
I like that.
They know that I might be uncertain, but they know that they may be uncertain as well. And we have to take a chance on each other. Right. Yeah. And so that's a big part of it. I think that's my biggest lesson, is that now I am relatable to someone else, that I can say, for them to get up here and do this thing, there was likely some uncertainty, that they had to fight the battles and the demons and the questions to even come to this place to do this thing that they're doing. They deserve my attention, my time, my energy. So that's going to be the first one that I can relate. The second one is that my self-doubt has made me humble, right? I don't know if you all can see it for those of you who are watching the video version of this, but I can have a big head at times, and I can forget that there are flaws and chinks in my armor. If I'm not careful, I can go back to high school Neal, where everything is awesome and that everything I touch turns to gold and that life was easy. Because here's what I will tell you, Robin, and the audience as well, is that if self-doubt does not come into my life as a freshman and sophomore in college, I am a different person, and I'm probably not here right now, right? Meaning on this earth, I would probably be so egotistical that I would think that I was made of Teflon. I would think that I was bulletproof. And so for me to know that when self-doubt creeps in, yes, I know that I can do all things through Christ. I know that all things are possible. I know that I can overcome it. However, I also know that I can't do it by myself, right? I know that I'm not so polished and perfect that nothing penetrates, right, my mind. And therefore, if I did not have self-doubt, I would go places I had no business going, doing things with people that I had no business being with. But because I know maybe you're not that good, or I'm reminded, hey, something could go wrong, I now use that to protect myself, to make sure that I'm leaning on the right source, that I have the right environment, the right people around me. And as long as I continue to do that, I know we're going to defeat self-doubt, but I know that self-doubt also plays its role in Neal not getting the big head, not being able to walk through doors.
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. That's so
All
good.
right.
Hey, what a little different show today. It's we're just kind of being transparent here with our listeners, and it's quite. I hope you're finding it interesting as you listen to us today. More things come to my mind. I just thought of a time in my career where insecurity caused me to be hesitant about stepping out into something. And it was actually when I launched my company. And so that was a big benefit from that, And so, yes, there's been so many benefits I think if we stopped and thought about it more, we'll see that.
If we do, like you said, and if we slow down, and ladies and gentlemen, this might be the episode where you slow down and you reflect long enough to say, well, where did my self-doubt come from? Where did it originate? And now how am I going to overcome those? What practical strategies can I use on a daily basis so that I do understand my worth, so that I can come in and say, yes, I'm capable of achieving those big goals so I can live a big life. And so, Robin, here's where I know we have been asking questions of ourselves to ourselves, really from first person point of view. But question number 7, as we wrap up this conversation on self-doubt, what advice, if any, and now here's what we know about advice. We know that it could be good, it could be not so good. So you all do what you want with it. But if you are still hanging out with Robin and I this far into the episode, first of all, we love you, we appreciate you, and we value you. But Robin, what advice would you give to someone who's struggling with self-doubt, sir?
Yeah. So I would say first of all that hear Robin, and I know Neal comes from this place also. That I say to you that we believe in you, that you are very special and unique, and I think what I would encourage you to do is to recognize that. So one exercise that we've talked about before that I think it's a good thing to do is just kind of know your strengths, right? Yeah, write down what are your positive qualities. I would encourage you to start practicing that attitude of gratitude that we've talked about as well, where you're thinking about and you're writing down on a daily basis, what are you thankful for? What am I grateful for today? What am I thankful for? Now, there might be some times where you repeat the same thing, in a few days, you might say the same thing you said 3 days ago, because there are some things like that you're just going to appreciate, but just thinking about that. So there's two things, those practical things, Neal. One, make a list of your positive qualities. And I would say don't stop until you get to 100, right? So it might take you a little while to get to 100. And if you struggle to get to 100, then I say the next thing that you would want to do is to start reading those things to yourself every day. Start reminding yourself of your positive qualities.
Yeah.
Start the gratitude. And then the other thing that I would say is recognize that it's normal to have these thoughts and step in anyway. So take action. Don't strive for perfection, strive for progress. Get some wins under your belt. The wins themselves help to strengthen me, help to strengthen you. Those are my quick 3. Sir, what you add to that?
So mine is going to go back to what I mentioned earlier, whether it was from my young age to what I didn't have and what I wasn't experiencing in college. It is going to be get in the right environment. If you're struggling with self-doubt, I cannot stress enough to keep coming back here to this podcast. And I'm not saying that because this podcast is all of that. I'm saying that so that you can be in an environment with a community of people who believe in you and who believe in themselves, even amidst all of the negative messaging that's coming from the outside. So one, make sure that you're getting yourself around the right people, and they don't have to necessarily always be in physical proximity. Maybe it's someone that's going to be on the phone call, or you're in a group on Facebook. It might be where you're listening to your mentor or coach via podcast or on some YouTube playlist. So, but environment is so important. Make sure that we have the right people speaking into our lives. And then the second one, that if you are struggling with self-doubt, I am going to ask you to find a success partner or an accountability partner, someone who loves you, cares about you, knows more than you know, someone that wants to see you win, and then just share. Because we know that first we have to know and love ourselves, but part of that also, life is not meant to be done alone. That's why for the big life, Robin could do this podcast by himself, but he said one is too small a number for greatness. So I could go and do it by myself, but then there's something missing in that community, in having that success partner, in having that accountability partner. So not only in finding a community and environment itself, but find someone that you can confide in, someone that you can share with, and then someone say, well, that's what you think of yourself? Because here's what I see. I see someone that overcame. I see someone who might have battled, but they are still battling. So they still have the strength, the courage, the wherewithal. And so then I am just going to encourage everyone as a last but really the first is to just seek a relationship with Jesus Christ, right? I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't say that. And so the first two are practical. The third one I think is practical myself, but maybe if that's not your faith, just work and challenge and wrestle with that. But I believe it's important for us to know our value by the one who created us. And so if we do that, I believe that we will all be in a better place. It does not mean that the struggle, the challenge, the wrestle with self-doubt goes away. It does mean that what Robin read earlier from Psalm 54, that all of a sudden we start to realize and acknowledge who's sustaining us. And so that takes a little bit of the pressure, that mutes that megaphone just a little bit so that we can start hearing the right messaging. So Robin, what do you have for the audience before we get out of here, sir?
Yeah, I reiterate what you said. There is something to know, something about knowing that you are deeply loved. I'm still wrapping my mind around it.
We haven't
But
even gotten it figured out yet, Robin, right? As much, and that's so real quick before you go there, before you finish that thought, just explain this type of love that you're talking about, right? Because here's what I know you all are listening, but when Robin says that he's still wrapping his mind around being deeply loved, what does that do to that negative self-talk, that negative self-doubt, that negative self-worth, self-esteem? What does that like that just limitless love do to all of that negativity, Robin?
yeah, I mean, exactly. So what I am saying is the creator of it all, the creator of the heavens and the earth, right? All of this stuff around us, the creator of mankind, is this amazing God, deeply loves you and loves you so much that wants to have a relationship with you, and loves you so much that he created you to have a relationship. That's the whole reason. And he created you with a purpose. There are things that he created for you to do, and he's right there with you. We talk about, at the end of our show, we talk about we're right there with you. Well, that's where it comes from. He is right there with us. So, yeah, there is something special about understanding that it's not based upon my performance. It's not based upon how good or bad that I
Thank
do.
God.
Yeah. He just loves me. And yeah, there's something special about that, grasping that. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, here's what Robin and I hope that you got from this episode 1. I know we probably shattered your expectations of perfection between the two of us, and that it looks like everything is peaches and cream over here, but it is not. But we also hope that we encouraged you to know that people are challenge, that we are having similar experiences here in life, and that, as Robin just mentioned, that you're not alone. And not only are you not alone in this thing called life, you have someone right there with you who holds all of this in his hands. And then also, I hope that we gave you some practical strategies, whether it's going to be affirmations or slowing down, reflecting, writing out that list of great qualities that you have, and then remembering your purpose and why you're here. And we know that this has been an unconventional episode here on The Big Life, but we know that in today's time, it is so valuable, it is so necessary, and it is relevant. And that's what we're here for. We are here to put ourselves in those proverbial hot seats to help our listeners, to help our brothers and sisters live the big life. So, Robin, anything in closing to our audience before we get out of here, sir?
No, sir, I'm good, man. Thank you for your transparency, sir. And yeah, right on. Thanks for our listeners for hanging in there. And we hope we have encouraged you.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we always do, we want to let you all know that Robin and I, that we love you, God loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And until the next time we see you or you see us, don't be average, be world renowned, and we're right there with you.
Right on.